Hey everyone, welcome back to the Critic-Verse. Today we're continuing with our recap and review of Force Season 2 with Season 2 Episode 3 titled War and Ice Cream. Now before we get to the recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep updated on all things Critic-Verse and to help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers. Also, this video does contain spoilers, so make sure you've seen the episode first. Now, let's get to it. Once again, the title of the episode is War and Ice Cream. The title is in reference to the two sides of Tommy's life, and in a direct continuation from last week's episode, Little K took a shot at Tommy and missed, but Diamond tells Tommy not to escalate into a full-blown war, to which Tommy tries diplomacy and talks to Janard, giving him a time clock to take care of the shooter before he does it himself, which could lead to a war, and they both know war is bad for business. The second part of the title comes into play when Kate reveals she's in AA and trying to make amends, and falls short, to which Tommy brings up a moment Kate failed as a mother, involving him not getting ice cream he wanted because Kate spent the money getting high. And by the end of the episode, she takes a step in the right direction in making amends with Tommy. The episode begins with Tommy meeting up with Diamond after Little K's attempt. Tommy doesn't know who, but he knows it was someone from Treason who took the shot at him. Tommy also notes that a little girl got hit, and Diamond wants to talk to Janard, but Tommy opts to do it himself, saying he can be diplomatic. Next, Tommy goes to Janard's crib to tell him about the attempt, and when he realizes Janard doesn't have control, he gives him an ultimatum. Find who did it and handle it, or he will. Diamond is having a dick appointment with the former CEO that was introduced in last week's episode, and he begins to discuss the prospect of her moving their new weight through Southville Prison. After messing with him, she actually is on board with the plan. Then cut to a rally against gun and gang violence in response to the little girl's death, and both CBI and Treason are in attendance. Jenard wants to know where Little K is. One of his boys gives him a cryptic answer, and another steps to him, but he shuts that shit down quickly. And last week, the U.S. Attorney's Office wanted a task force to deal with the gang violence, and because of the little girl's shooting, the task force has been approved between CPD, FBI, and DEA, under the control of the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is definitely bad for business. JP and DMAC have a heart-to-heart about JP never being around, and JP makes an excuse, but DMAC brings up the fact that he found JP before JP found him, and JP doesn't have an excuse for that. Tommy then interrupts, informing them that someone took a shot at him before giving JP a gun to hold for protection. DMAC asks for his guns back, and both Tommy and JP say no in unison. Cut to the U.S. Attorney's Office. They go over the shooting, noting Tommy as the target, and when going over the motive, they put together that Tommy shot Chewie, and this was retaliation. When CPD shows up finally, and the head detective asks to speak to the head attorney. He's furious at Stacy for that she asked him to lead the task force on CPD's side, since their relationship is common knowledge. They're actually married, and he knows his wife has ambitions to be mayor, and she may even put that over their own marriage. Next, cut to Tommy asking Big Smurf to keep an eye on Janard to find out who shot at him and to know when Janard handles it. Kate then shows up at Tommy's place to make amends, and and now let Tommy know that she's in AA. And when the attempt falls short, he goes into a rant about what a crappy mother she was, including a memory when he couldn't get black raspberry ice cream at Coney Island. And that actually does serve a purpose in the episode. At the barbershop, Diamond's P.O. makes another surprise visit, and all is going well until Big Smurf comes up from the basement, and the P.O. starts getting suspicious. But the old head at the barbershop covers, saying Big Smurf is his nephew and he's giving him work. Next, Walter and Vic meet with the pharmaceutical exec to get the bad batch of opioids, and Walter complains about Claudia's childish attempts to fuck with business. Walter reveals he's meeting later with Tommy and how important this opioid deal is, as it will help them square things up with Dublin. To which Vic already noted that Walter said he had it handled, but Walter is finally starting to reveal the truth to Vic. And Vic couldn't be happier. Janard meets with Shanti looking for Little K, and she advises him not to act because everybody sees Little K in the right, and if he does act on it, Janard will have a mutiny on his hands. But Janard gets pissed at Shanti, seeing it as she has Little K's back, but she does tell Janard where Little K stays in case bad stuff goes down at his grandma's house. The opioid deal is going well until the pharma exec is openly racist, and Vic has a problem with that, even though Walter doesn't. Tommy and Diamond meet with Miguel, and Miguel called them to witness what he does with traders. The two guys who were discussing the drop point in front of Tommy in last week's episode, he thinks they sold them out to the Serbs. He dips their hands in liquid nitrogen and breaks them so there's no blood. Then we get to see how the Southville operation goes down and how they'll get their drugs into prison. Female visitors come to see their significant others, use the bathroom to take out the drugs, and then place it with a bag of popcorn so the inmate can take it from there, all smooth like. Tommy meets with Walter to learn who killed Liliana, and Walter's choice of words tells Tommy all he needs to know. We also see how the drugs get dispersed by dealers who work on the lunch crew, but the previous dealers aren't too happy with someone taking over their territory and go to handle it. Claudia meets with her father to talk about how he broke into her place and stole from her safe. And while Paulie denies it, Walter says he did it as retaliation for her changing the passwords on their accounts. And that he's also canceled her credit cards, and to keep fucking with him, and he'll cancel her security too, as a warning. The detective goes to talk to Little K's grandma, looking for him, revealing his name is Wendell, offering protection. And Grandma stays strong and says she'll pass on the message, even though she's indicated clearly that he's there. Kate tries to make amends for leaving JP, and when he asks why she did it, and asks if it was because he was black, she then starts to get defensive, which doesn't help the situation. Then Jenard catches up with Little K, but Granny to the rescue once again and tells Janard what's what, and saying that if he does kill Little K, that she can definitely pick him out of the lineup with that ear of his. And he leaves, but not before spotting Big Smurf. Vic makes an anonymous call on the opioid delivery boy, which causes the deal to go awry. Tommy meets with Claudia to confirm his suspicions that she's the one that killed Liliana, and while he can't 100% confirm it, he knows it was her. Diamond takes his PO's advice and gives free haircuts, one to the kid from the rally named Leon, and when he goes to leave, he gets confronted by some gang-affiliated kids, but Diamond chases them off, telling Leon he has to stand up for himself. The detective confronts Little K once again, trying to get him to flip, but he figures out that the detective doesn't have anything or he would have been arrested, and he takes his grandma and leaves. Diamond's CEO sex buddy plants drugs on the former Southville dealers in an effort to make him take a deal from Diamond, or else he'll get shipped off somewhere where he has no protection. And he finally gives in. Janard gets his car taken as collateral by the Serbs when he's missed a payment, leaving him right in the middle of the street. And after Tommy gets an update on Janard from Big Smurf, Tommy threatened one of Claudia's security detail to confirm she killed Liliana, but only confirming he didn't know anything, Tommy kills him. Janard gets picked up by Little K and flips out on him and kills him in frustration, takes his car, and it turns out Tommy watched it all go down. Then Tommy gets home to find black raspberry ice cream in the freezer, which is a small way Kate can make amends after being a shit mom. Vic continues to screw with Walter's business by killing the pharma rep, ensuring that they won't get the money back and they can't pay Dublin back. Little K's body is then found by the detective, screwing like the only opportunity he had to get an inside man. And in the final scene, it's revealed that Jenard is a heroin addict, but instead of shooting up with a needle, he sniffs it. And that's the end of the episode. Okay, this was a pretty good episode. Definitely improved on some points from last week's episode, but it feels like this show suffers from an overly bloated cast. And this particular universe of shows usually does a good job of juggling large casts, but it felt like a lot in this episode. And a couple of things from this episode that I want to talk about. Like, this show showing the civilian casualty was different compared to the other shows. They usually gloss over that kind of stuff, but this shows that it's really bad for business when regular people die compared to these gangsters. Janard has lost control of his crew as one won't give up a location and another one steps up to him. And all signs are pointing to treason folding. But with it, again, like I said last time, with a name like Treason, what can you expect from a gang like that? Something interesting I noticed, JP and DMAC both have something in common, is that they will call someone what they want to be addressed as when it benefits them. DMAC calls Tommy and JP uncle and dad when he wants something from them. And JP calls his son DMAC when he walks away from him and wants him to come back. But even though he told everyone to call him by his birth name that he gave him, Darnell. The detective and the head of the U.S. attorneys are married, but neither wear their rings at work, I guess to keep things professional or to like keep their like private lives private. But that was really confusing in this episode until the detective basically said to the U.S. attorney Stacy, "Oh yeah, they're married." I was like, okay, thanks for pointing that out. I couldn't tell. They are able to cover up Big Smurf being in the basement to the PO, but I wondered what if the other guy that was down there had come upstairs? What would they have said back then? But I mean, it's funny because he even shouts to someone else being down there. And you can clearly tell that the PO is suspicious, but he kind of bought the older barber's excuse. But hey, who knows? It's a show and they wrote it that way. And Tommy, being the one that leaked Dahlia's composition, seems to be common knowledge, at least to Victor it was. But I guess that can be taken from their conversation last week when they both figured out that the other one knew what they needed to know. Now, all of Claudia's big talk about her like being ready for the big stuff and how Claudia is an adult, but her father has the ability to cancel her credit cards. I mean, they're probably connected to the family business, but it's still not smart on her end to have it where someone has the power to cancel her credit cards and even her security detail. I guess she's not as grown up as she thought. And a really powerful line from this episode comes from the Leon character when he's talking to Diamond about how gun violence has affected him growing up. He says to Diamond, "I've been to more funerals than birthdays." And that line hits like a truck. And it really hits home on how gang violence is affecting the youth. And this whole episode, with Kate being in AA and trying to make amends, it feels like they're waving the death flag for her. But if you've seen Book 2 Ghost, in Season 3, Tariq goes and talks to Kate to find out where Tommy is. And Book 2 Ghost, Season 3 at least, takes place way after Season 2 of Force. So Kate isn't dying anytime soon, but she may be leaving Chicago, possibly on good terms or maybe on some bad terms. And while I said like the show has over bloated its cast, they may be introducing more and more characters, as it seems Diamond has been getting unknown calls and texts the entire episode. And who knows where that's gonna go. Anyway, that's all my thoughts on the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let me know your thoughts on the episode, and I'll see you next time in the Critic-Verse. Bye.